All right,
Hmm.
webinar has begun.
All
Hello,
right.
everyone. Welcome to Maddox Digital and Customer Success Summit. You are currently watching how AI is impacting the business of CS and digital practices. I'm excited to introduce our speaker, and as I introduce them, I'm going to have them answer our icebreaker question. What is your biggest digital addiction? And with that, I will turn it over to Jan Young. She is the founder and CEO of the Step Up Exchange. Jan, over to you. And I will stop
Great.
sharing.
Great. And I just posted my LinkedIn and said I'm in Los Angeles today, so I'd love to know where other folks are. Um, so yeah, my digital addiction, I guess, Pascal, where'd you go? I can't see you.
I'm here. I'm
Come
here.
on,
I
stay with
handed it
me
over to you.
here.
Okay, I'll stay with you here for your addiction,
Don't
and
be
then I'll
shy.
hand it off.
Don't
And
be
then I'll hand it off.
shy. All
Okay.
right. But yeah, no, oh, look at that. Dan Luke's also in LA. So my digital addiction, well, maybe other than LinkedIn, where I can connect with the community and that sort of thing, I would say it's sort of a cross between ChatGPT and Perplexity. And
Mm,
that really depends upon what I'm using it for. I've created some custom GPTs in ChatGPT, and I have a number number of them that I'm using that really help me work more efficiently. But when I'm doing research and I want to know that it's based upon something that's out there, that's documented, then I really want to use Perplexity. And
mm,
so, I think in that respect, whether it's those types of tools or even others, I also use Trello a lot, things like that. I guess I kind of just basically have a basic digital addiction, but don't we all? I mean, we're spending our whole days, our
this is
lives in
true.
it.
This is
But
true. And
between the
equips you
phone
well
and the
to,
desktop.
yeah, equips you well to have this conversation that we're having today.
Yeah, yeah. So, great to see folks. Oh, and I see some people I know and some new folks. Nice to meet you all. So, yeah, definitely I will put my LinkedIn in there again so that we can connect if we aren't already connected. Nice to see such a global, community here too. It's great.
Yeah, wonderful.
All right.
Yeah, Jan, go ahead and you can share your
Want
screen
me to
and
share my
I
screen and
will.
get started? Yeah, let's do it. All right. Okay. Excellent. Can everybody see my screen? Wait, I need to see the chat and get ready to, add some things in to the chat. I'm going to have some questions for you. So don't think that just because I'm on the spotlight that you are not on the line here too. All right.
And any questions that come in throughout the session, please just add it into the Q&A, and then we'll stop about 5 to 10 minutes early, and I will pull some questions out from the Q&A.
Awesome. Okay,
Thank you.
great. Great. So as Pascal said, this session is about how AI is impacting the business of customer success. Um, and I need to see the whole thing. Customer success and our digital practices. Now, as you know, AI is having a moment, and we can already see how it's going to change how we work. But today I'm going to talk about the impact that AI is having on our business, on customer success, and how we should be thinking about digital CS. So, first, though, about me, if you don't know me, I've been in tech for over 20 years, serving in a variety of roles, have really given me a holistic approach to our SaaS business. And I believe firmly that we CS leaders are business leaders, and that we uniquely have the power and insights that can transform our companies. So that is my purpose. I transform CS leaders into business leaders and empower and align go-to-market teams. And if you know me at all, I believe strongly in community. So the courses that I teach to help CS leaders step up as business leaders are community and project-based. Now, these four components, AI, data, digital CS, and our market landscape and economics are impacting how we work and how we build our CS programs. Together, these elements are redefining customer success and they're redefining CS leadership. To be truly effective, we need to step up into the business leadership because when we do, we're able to impact our customers, our teams, and our companies in the way that we've always envisioned. So look, as leaders, we're addicted to continuous learning. I know I am. And that's what brought you here today to look at all of these, watch all of these sessions and participate, right? So it's my hope that we'll be sharing something new for you to think about and apply to your digital CS program in this session. Now, back to the chat, get ready to type in. I want to know who has worked in tech for at least 3 years. Put a 3 in the chat if you've worked in tech for 3 years. Okay, I see some 3s. What about 5 years? Anybody up to 5 years? Some 5s? Okay. What about 10? Anybody work in tech? Yeah, I see some 10s. 15? Any 15s? All right. 20? Anybody 20? Yeah, I see some 20s. Okay. So this I hope was going to resonate because I'm going to walk through some things that is about all of our experience. And part of that experience too, who here has been impacted by a layoff in tech? In your career, have you ever been laid off in tech? Yeah. I know I have. You have a friend who's been impacted by a tech layoff? Yeah. Anybody have tech PTSD? But, and yet we're still here in it, right? Love it. So I want to provide some context for what we've all experienced. And I'm going to tell you a story. And it's a story about how tech influences the market. Now, I got into tech during the dot-com boom. I said it was about 20 years, right? Then we had the crash. And during this period, to help sort of revive the economy, the Fed, this is US based, but it had a global impact. And the Fed then had low interest rates during this period to stimulate the economy. Okay. Now, as the economy was recovering, those low interest rates fed the real estate boom. And then we had a housing crash. But what you see is what I'm charting out here isn't what happened to our markets. I'm charting out what happened to tech and how tech grew. Because when the housing crash, the big housing crash happened, what happened was they wanted to stimulate the economy, but they already had low interest rates. And so they had to go lower. And that's when we first heard about something called zero interest rate policy. I know, who cares? It's some economic policy, right? But it had an impact on us every day. If you were in tech 10 years ago, for any of you who said 10 years or more, what happened was all these low interest rates, it drove investors to tech because what else were they going to do with their money? Right? There was nothing else, no other way to earn money. So they put it in this risky thing called SaaS tech startups. And that's when we really started to take off. And even when the economy started to do better, we still had low interest rates and we were still booming. Now, who's been in tech for 5 years? Did I see the 5s? You got some 5s again? Think about that. All right. You remember then the pandemic. And pandemic, we already had low interest rates, and so it went back down to zero interest rates again to stimulate the economy. Stay with me here. I know I'm talking about economics. You're like, what? I thought we were at digital CS. But these zero interest rate policy and all of the low rates that we've had for almost 20 years, it dramatically impacted us every day in tech because that's why the investors, when they were trying to get growth, right? And there was so much money following for every investor. There was more investor money to follow. So profitability didn't matter. It was all about growth at any cost. We could go deeply in debt, and it didn't matter because we were going to get more money from investors. Growth at any cost. It was all about acquisition. You remember, we still have something called Gong, right? That was all about the acquisition, the sales, new, getting a new customer. You went and hit the gong, that's back when we were in the office, right? So is this ringing a bell for anybody? Do you remember experiencing these things? This was also when we had quiet quitting, and it was easy to get a job because a recruiter would just try and steal us away. Is this, all right, couple of yeses. All right, so I'm going through it to walk you through this. Let me go ahead and show you the next step here. Now, when the pandemic hit and we had zero interest rate, the rest of the economy needed to be stimulated. But for tech, again, we took off because everybody started working from home and they all needed the tools to do it. That was a boom for tech, right? So this is where really the quiet quitting really, took off. We could, switch jobs every 6 months. All of that was the phenomena that you always heard about, all the way to 2022. Now, who remembers what happened in 2022? Anybody? Interest rates were raised because the economy, the general economy, was taking off. And so investors had another place to go. And that was not good for tech, right? Because all of a sudden we went from growth at any cost to where they expected us to be profitable and efficient and growing. And so profitable, efficient growth is what they were looking at. Spin on a dime, that's what they were asking for. And it was hard to reorient our companies. So in 2023, we had the biggest decline of VC funded companies. Over 3,200 companies failed. That's when you might have been laid off too, right? So then another thing that we all know has been around through all of this is AI, right? So we haven't just been pushing towards profitable, efficient growth because our investors have been asking for it. We also had a way for AI to help us be efficient, really on steroids. And maybe you're not seeing all of that impact yet at your company, but that's the direction we're going. Gen AI has already had a huge impact on us in the way that agentic AI will. So does any of this resonate? Do you recall this experience? Does it help to understand it from these economic terms and understand how the investors influenced every day? Vivid clarity. Thank you, Jan. All right. Now, what you see that's been happening in the last few weeks, more uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen with our global markets because of the tariffs, right? So we don't know if it's still going to be going up. In fact, there may be some parts of the tech market that continue to grow and other parts that are going to be more challenged, right? And AI is going to further challenge this anyway. And so the way that we incorporate digital CS into our programs, it's absolutely necessary and vital. So it's fantastic that you're here today. Now, let's see. Oh, what I was going to say though is what you see from this graph that I'm walking you through, that it isn't just that tech influences the market, markets influence tech, right? And the way that those two interact have had a profound impact on us. And so where we are now today is that there's an absolute emphasis on profitability, efficiency, and growth. And AI is intrinsically related to that. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that some more. We'll get through this. Okay, well, it's great to see everyone back. And just so you know, I do have an hour masterclass on this topic and more, because it's an hour long next week. So be sure to connect with me, follow me, and I can give you the link to that if you're interested in this. But I'm glad you're back. Let's just go ahead and continue on. I was just talking through those market economics and how they intrinsically had an impact on us. And now I want to take a minute and talk about investors. And you may think, why the heck would I care about investors? But as I sort of showed you before, they've really had an impact on us, on a daily basis. So what I want to just sort of mention then is the type of investor you have is also impactful to what your business objectives are. And it's really important for CS leaders to understand. So when you're looking at venture capital, they're looking for a 7 to 10 year return. And they're really focused on the growth, but they're also believe also that you need to be efficient in order to be a healthy company for them to really believe that you're going to get to that 7 to 10 year return, right? Whereas if you look at private equity, they're also about growth, but as you kind of see with this sort of 1 + 1 + 1 = 10, that's really because they're building through consolidation. So they're more likely to have like a lead company that then there's more acquisition. So like Gainsight, you had Nick Mehta there, in the opening conversation this morning. And they are actually private equity owned. Gainsight is the lead company, and then they've acquired others to sort of build out the suite. So then that gives you an idea of how they're looking to build growth for private equity, right? Now, AI actually is impacting all of those really on steroids, as I mentioned. And so has anybody here, and I need to get up the chat again to see who is here. Now, has anybody else seen the Shopify CEO AI memo? Did that come through your feed at all? Yeah, you saw it? Okay, great. So let's think about that for a second, right? Here we are now in a universe, in a world, right, where the effective use of AI is expected. It's actually part of your performance review. And they're looking for you to not only gain efficiencies, but also to accelerate your learning, how we learn and how much we learn. I mean, it's so critical to how we guide AI. So we really do have to step up now. And it's also expected that this will be self-directed learning, and that once you learn something, you want to share it, right? So that we all learn and exponentially learn with each other. That's the new culture that we're in tech and really in our world now. And so they're saying, yeah, we'll give you the cutting edge tools, but you need to step up. And the quiet part was said out loud by the CEO when he says, for headcount, you got to prove AI can't do it before I'm going to let you hire. Right. So that's what we were sort of, thinking. Yeah, we know that AI is going to impact how we work, but ultimately it's going to be part of how we build our growth and our capabilities in our companies, even our infrastructure, right? And so it's not going to be uncommon that AI is expected, in our work world. And as I mentioned, like it's not going to just change how we work, because it's also going to change our metrics. And it's not just metrics within our teams, it's also changing investor metrics, right? So have folks heard of EBITDA, Rule of 40, LTV, CAC ratio, any of that ringing a bell? All right, Dan, you're with me here. And you're in LA, we got to meet. So now you can, busily write this down or do a screenshot, but frankly, there's no reason. And I'll tell you why not. First of all, these are all completely made up terms. They're not even true accounting terms. And they were all made up by investors to try and figure out if they were making a good bet, right? Are they going to get that return on their money? So And EBITDA is primarily used by either late stage growth companies or the private equity, and these others are more likely used by other, like VCs, and it's really sort of looking at growth plus profit margin, right? And so then you see like 40 is a good score here, and the 3-to-1 ratio is good, great, whatever, all of that. Frankly, look at it. We already, because of AI having an impact on efficiency, already investors are looking at rule of 50. And it's probably not even going to stop there. It's probably going to go to either 60, even 70. And these metrics, while you've heard of them for years, there's other metrics that have long been around, but you're going to start to hear about more. And that is ARR per FTE, which in layman's terms basically is revenue per employee. Has anyone yet started to hear about revenue per employee? Good. Okay. So some folks have heard some of this. So revenue per employee is important because they're looking to see how efficient the company is overall, right? And just and basically, sorry, I'm just trying to get back to where my spot is here. So the bottom line is AI has changed the assumption that adding headcount will mean more growth. So when we were earlier in growth at any cost, like you would add people, you were hiring people to show that you were growing and that you were going to have more growth. But now investors are looking at how few people can you have in your company, how efficient can you be and have this growth. So thank you, AI, for changing that. But if you heard of unicorns in the past, that is in the past. First of all, that was built on 1 billion valuation. So all it needed was investors to, say, oh, I think you're worth 1 billion. And then poof, they were worth 1 billion. And so many unicorns went away back in 2023, right? So then centaurs were the big thing. If you recall, oh my gosh, only 5 minutes. All right, I better go. But in any event, gigacorns are now where you have 1 billion in ARR for and companies are trying to just have 100 to 200 people to achieve that type of revenue. And so this is why it's so critical that we're using digital CS, that we're using AI to create the efficiencies and to make each human in the company that much more empowered and productive, right? Okay, so I'm not going to bother with all the cog stuff, and my eyes glaze over whenever I see it too, but it is important to know where you are on your profit and loss statement, because literally if you're in cogs, because you're, look, if you're doing anything that's revenue oriented, then it's going to be over on the sales side. If you are not engaged in impacting revenue, then you're part of COGS. And that is something that literally, if you're part of COGS, you literally take away from profit. And that's why when you feel like there's a target on your back and you might get cut, you might get laid off, it's because if they're trying to show that they're more profitable, you do have their target on your back. They're trying to be more profitable and they can only cut COGS, especially if your revenue is going down. They have to reduce COGS in order to still be profitable, which is what investors are requiring. And that's why it's so critical to understand this, because when you're trying to build out a digital CS program, you need to go and purchase tools, and you need to be able to make your business case. And this is who you're making your business case to. The executives are responding to your board, and your board, your investors are looking at these types of metrics. So how you contribute to revenue, how you save costs, and your margins are critical. And when you're making your business case, then basically you're looking at revenue minus costs equals margins. How are you impacting these areas? But the good news is, and I can tell you a lot more about this next week because I only have 2 minutes left, but if you're going to build a repeatable revenue system, you can do so with just a simple tool that you already have. This customer journey, if you're interested in understanding what it is more specifically, I'm going to dig into it more a week from now. But ultimately, what you want to do is understand your milestone events, your outcome or transformation, and your exit criteria to build out your success path. And those are the things you want to be measuring because those are the activities that lead to your revenue events. And they also provide value for your customers. So get the QR code, sign up for a week from now. I'm going to be digging into all of this in an uninterrupted fashion, and excuse me, and I will be sure to answer your questions then. Sorry, I don't think that we're going to have much time. Maybe just we have 1 minute. Pascal.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Q&A and no questions have come through.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, no, I just wanted to say apologize for the starting and stopping. But really wanted to say thank you to Jan for holding the session. This is going to be recorded and we will send this out to all attendees. It's going to be live in our resource hub. And thank you everybody for joining. Apologies for the technical challenges,
Yeah.
but
And
yes.
just to let people know, I'm really going to be able to dig into that repeatable revenue system and how that all connects up to delivering on the business that we're responsible for. So, hopefully people can join because that was what I was hoping to dig into more today.
Yeah, no, I will try to attend as well because that is all stuff that I am very, very much interested in.
Okay. Thanks a
All right.
lot,
Well,
Pascal.
thank you so much and have a great day, everybody.
All right, take care.